Let's do the thing. Folks, I cannot take myself serious with this mustache. If you haven't checked out this cast on Rumble, come support us on Rumble. Get on the free speech platform. I can't believe even the tyranny I've already experienced getting some of this streamed into YouTube now. Since they've lifted a lot of their strikes and disciplinary action, it's like we're gaining them right back. But anyway, not here to talk about the mustache today. I just can't be rid of it. It lightens my mood, just like this freaking crazy elevator music. Now we're just getting double creepy today, but I digress, folks. I'm gonna screen share this because I want to share with you what I am viewing, and it's none other than the cover image for today's episode on Rumble. You know what? Let's kick off more inspirational tune, should we? But as you can see, it's flawed. What does this mean? PUISO. Get out of here. There's even blank spaces. When I used an AI to build this out, but there was a lesson learned in building this out where I was seeking perfection. You know, division should be in here, interest, banking cabal, all the oppressive measures that evil is using in today's world. But it was becoming such a time suck. It in fact was deflating my energy, so much so that it was prolonging getting the message out. And I believe there's a lesson for us all to learn right there. I definitely did, where it's like, you know what? It doesn't need to be perfect. We're all seeking perfection in an imperfect existence. So it's like, you know what? Let the flaws shine. Let the critiques come out and critique. Which, by the way, thank you to everyone that has reached out to me since diving back in. I'm clearly not entirely drowning, but my gosh, I am lacking serious gifts it takes to effectively sit in a chair, go through information. And folks, it's not just me. One of the critiques, it's like, well, it's just one man's opinion. Have I not invited everyone, anyone willing to come on this cast? You're all invited. Hence, that's one of the foundational stones of Unmuzzled Chat and why we made the play on words, your story matters. Because it does. It's as a collective. It's as Charlie was seeking. When we lose the dialogue, then we're left with nothing more than, and we're going to dive more into this, more extreme measures to be had. But let's pull that down, folks. So it's not just that. It's not just my opinion. I'm really trying to collectively share through the links and plug all these other individuals, helping us all even properly source information in an information war era where propaganda, it's never been more rampant. So if it's not me, I'm trying to view so many others' opinions that are shining the light on what matters most. And it's not the labels we construct in this life. It's biblical. It's a spiritual warfare that is playing out before us all. Another critique. I didn't even really do very good in that last episode, hence why the extension today. And I'm going to get a little offbeat. It is going to be imperfect. I'll admit that. But I want to drive even the title and such home better. That what, in fact, are we falling for every time? What happens, in fact, when we're all distracted with these other things? Now I want to drive that home a little better this episode, so please bear with me. Just doing one other verification that the stream's actually working out okay. While it does that, let's go ahead and just officially kick things off. Welcome, my friends, to Unmuzzled Chat. Oh, Look at that. Just on cue. Looks like the stream's going through. We are green lighted at this point. Let's rock and roll. Just get back into the screen share. This kind of sets the tone for the information I want to go through today about silencing us. Check this out.
Is now threatening to ban my account with 600,000 plus followers over the allegation that I spread misinformation about the tragedy involving Charlie Kirk this week in Utah. Now, I'm not silly. I was very careful about how I chose my words in the videos that I made when I was covering this incident. So it's clear to me that the effort to silence me is an effort to silence a conversation that is being had outside of the pre-programmed scripts of the mainstream media. The questions that we have asked and the lies that we have exposed have been viewed by millions and millions of people, so much so to the point that world leaders have had to address the things that we are saying, albeit they have not done a good job of addressing our concerns. As someone who's been banned from various platforms before, including YouTube, Venmo, PayPal, WhatsApp, Twitch, Facebook, Instagram, and many others, this is nothing new to me. The reason why we are being targeted is not because we're saying crazy things. If we were saying crazy things, the powers that be would not be threatened by us. The reason why is because we are simply putting forward the truth, and a lot of people don't like that. I love the fact that Candace Owens, Tucker Carlson, Harrison Smith, Cernovich, The Gray Zone, and many others have come forward over the past few days to expose the fact that there was a deep and dangerous struggle for the truth that was ongoing behind the scenes being led by Charlie Kirk, and I am going to continue the plight for truth that Charlie was leading by trying my best, despite the best efforts of the censor, to get that truth to all of you. Thank you so much for the support, and be sure to follow me on Twitter, where you will find minute-by-minute updates on the biggest breaking news stories of the day, including the events that are unfolding right now as a result of the tragedy this week in Utah. TikTok.
This truly, I mean, we could end today's episode if we fully grasped everything he was just exposing, not just the words he was expressing, but the sheer oppressors that exist. Why are they doing what they're doing? You know, we're going to jump ahead and come back. So we'll close this one out. This clip, I'm planning on ending on this clip. I'm not going to play it all today or in this moment, but let's go ahead and just play the beginning and stay tuned. All these links, by the way, are provided in the episode description below. If you haven't shared any of this, like at minimum, any of these clips, I'm just trying to get this information out so we can gain the level of organization we need, that their suppressive measures aren't going to be effective. But this man points it out blatantly, our oppressors. Check it out.
I have less ability sometimes online to criticize the Israeli government about backlash than actual Israelis do.
Wow.
And that's
point,
really,
Charlie.
really weird.
An easy way to
Concerning.
know if you are controlled. Is there somebody or something that you're not allowed to criticize?
That's right.
Simple as that.
Simple as that. Ask yourself, is there someone or something you are not allowed to criticize? It's not even just about being controlled. It ties into, in fact, are we even free? And in lieu of Charlie's death, a lot of what's been happening and taking place behind closed doors, a lot of this is in the open, and I'm sure a lot of you are aware of it, but is to the extent it takes research. But I like how J.P. Sears mentioned it here. I don't like how he tied into the ideology and this destructive think of right versus left, but I digress. He states, any trust I had in Pam Bondi just went down the toilet. If you don't have hate speech, you don't have free speech. I couldn't agree more. And we'll just leave it at that. Thank you, JP. Kind of reworded it slightly differently in this very post. If you haven't followed Unmuzzled Chat on X, Come join us. Help magnify. We're already being suppressed. What does that tell us? They're not suppressing truth. Wow. They're precisely, only, exclusively suppressing truth. They have no reason, because it's not a threat, to suppress lies and deceit. Look at me put my own foot in my mouth. First of all, you cannot have free speech without hate speech, full stop. Dare I say that if we are not willing to die for the rights of the expressions, even for the ones that speak out in the most vile ways about Charlie's assassination, yes, even to that extent, then we do not even understand what freedom means, or what he, in fact, stood for. Nor do we value freedom, nor do we stand for freedom. We are a country of law. Everyone should maintain the God-given right to say whatever they want. Whatever they want, social medias. And yes, I mean whatever they want. I'll even embellish, because you could do it more easily in communication in this regard versus text on a screen. But even down to the threats. Charlie even stood for the rights of individuals, stating so much that, hey, it's free expression, even so many of those that have threatened my life. They're not under the law committing a crime because they're not including under law certain times, certain places to actually fulfill the definition of inciting or becoming a real viable threat. Charlie understood this, and he speaks so clearly about it. And we've played a lot of the clips. If you haven't checked out the last 2 prior episodes, check them out. If not, for none other than just look through the description and click through those links. They are incredibly powerful. So just think about it. That being said, if it breaks the laws that are already established, then we have lawmen to rectify those situations and address those threats. Anything less than this, what does history tell us? This will 100% be abused in the worst ways imaginable. This hate speech, because define it. It will seemingly be used for good today, but the worst atrocities tomorrow. We cannot embolden the powers that be, the levers of that type of power. There's some other thoughts I like, different angles I like coming at as well. Imagine, even in a perfect world where they're in fact censoring what we all would see or potentially personally. I mean, it's a slippery slope. That's why our freedom of expression, our God-given rights, is not to be infringed upon, full stop. It's a slippery slope, but let's just try to imagine that they were only censoring what we would all generally more so agree upon as hate speech, and not atrociously get to a level of extreme abuses. Where does that leave us? It leaves us in a place of entirely entrusting in a system to handle the threats on our behalf entirely. So just think on that. You genuinely trust the 3-letter agencies? And what does it take to complete this measure? What infringements of levels of privacy? We are private citizens. They are public servants. Why are we allowing that to be entirely reversed? That's a side note. But do you genuinely trust that they're going to address these threats? Other things that are being pushed behind this, and we're going to play Pam Bondi's clip here. It is shocking. But everything else, these tech gurus and everything that they're speaking out on, these AI programs, I mean, it is literally calling, it's You've all seen the Minority Report, right? The film. What is it? Tom Cruise. We're literally trying to put ourselves as humans in a position of God, trying to prevent the inevitable of this life. People are going to feel pain. They're going to get hurt. Some of us our lives will be cut short, irregardless as to accidents, assassinations, things of that nature. But we can't play God and take away the agency and try to minority report this, full stop. So another aspect to this to consider, that if we allowed it in a perfect world and it was addressing what we agree upon as hate speech, they're going to suppress it and address it in such a manner that not only are we entirely trusting on it, we won't have it. They'll take away the ability and the chance of an alarm being sent within our own communities, our own families. So if they're not properly addressing it, like they're actually making, in a way, this a bigger threat than addressing the threat. I do not have the gift gab. My intellect is impaired. And it's why I, at the core of my being, want to sound the alarm on all this, because our oppressors are taking extremely horrific measures to diminish your light, your ability, the strength within you, the gift of gab even. We have never been a sicker country than we are now. We've never poured more money into health services than we do now. What does this tell us? They've subverted it all, and they're running under the labels of it all. We're falling hook, line, and sinker. Not all of us. The plan scamdemic woke a lot of us up. So I want to advocate, one, in Charlie's footsteps, that we must maintain the ability to get things wrong. Without that ability, without the freedom of expression, we are not free at all. And this is infringing upon the very agency God gifted us. We will inevitably, it's a slippery slope when we're just going to slip down, deteriorating to our own demise 100%. If you can't see how that's going to play out with this level of oppressive measures, I don't know what to tell you. Go read the Constitution, understand oppression, what our founding fathers and everyone that built up this country understood that we've now pretty much lost. I digress. Let's continue. Right here, JFK is very powerful, something to consider. Those who make peaceful revolution impossible will make violent revolution inevitable. Wow. It applies 100% to this very moment in time. All right, let's play this clip from Pam Bondi. This is shocking.
There's free speech and then there's hate speech. And
no, there's not.
No place, especially now, especially after what happened to Charlie, in our society.
Do you see more law enforcement going after these groups who are using hate speech and putting cuffs on people, so we show them that some action is better than no action?
We will absolutely target you, go after you, if you are targeting anyone with hate speech, anything. And that's across the aisle. There's free speech.
People, I see in so many comments, Pam, define hate speech. Yeah, that would be nice and all and cute and all, but that's missing the point. That's irrelevant. There's no defining and excusing any level of infringement of our rights. Once again, if we're not willing to die on behalf of those that in the most vile ways want to talk about Charlie's death and die for their freedom of expression, we do not even understand what freedom of expression or freedom even means.
And then
Frankie Stocks, love you, brother. He has his own way going into this information and dropping some gold nuggets as to what's what's happening is we're all just, I don't know, wrapped up in all the intentional propaganda. My mind's ping-ponging all over the place. There's so much I want to connect the dots on, but in my limited ability, I really struggle. And I hope it actually shows. I don't want anyone to experience any level of cognitive dysfunction through biological warfare, all the other means that have led to this deteriorated state. I've invested everything, career change, liquidated many assets, just fighting tooth and nail to gain any additional level of function back. It doesn't take much of that health dial for anyone to click over into the wrong direction to where it entirely consumes you, and what formerly you lived for and loved doesn't even matter at all. But there's a blessing in these type of trials because it shifts the edge. It shifts the perspective for like a path of just real growth and real meaning and purpose to this existence. But I digress. Let's hear Frankie.
The American people are having their speech attacked by Pam Bondi, among others. But let's continue drilling down on Pam Bondi, okay? This woman, let's remember exactly who this woman is. She's endorsed gun control. Now she's endorsing speech control. And she also lied repeatedly to the American people about Jeffrey Epstein. She lied to the American people about telling them what the hell actually happened, who was compromised, who was on the tapes, who was on the lists. Don't you remember when Pam Bondi went on Fox News and she said, I've got Epstein's client list on my desk right now and I'm waiting for the go-ahead.
Once a liar, I mean, and they don't effectively come up and express the sorrow, hey, and the reasoning, not the excuses, but the reasoning and fulfilling what an apology means. It's not just frankly saying you're sorry, right? We often, in educating children, you'll see sorry for what? Trying to get our next generations to grasp and understand what the true meaning behind what sorry means. But none of these individuals are doing any of that. So once they lie to us, they're a liar. They're a hollow projection. It doesn't matter how well they formulate words or present them. How are we just emboldening? And I believe there's an energy shift. We're giving them our energy, our time, our finances, our support to our demise because they're not a truthful individual. Even if they're seemingly well-intended and they're falling prey to things themselves. Oh, sorry, I'm just speaking some of the realizations I've had in the moment and entirely disrupting the content. Let's continue.
Waiting for them to tell me to release it. Here, a little flashback video. Watch this.
DOJ may be releasing the list of Jeffrey Epstein's clients. Will that really happen?
It's sitting on my desk right now to review. That's been a directive by President Trump. I'm reviewing that. I'm reviewing JFK
remember?
files, MLK files. That's all in the process of being reviewed because that was done at the directive of the president from all of these agencies.
So she was lying. She was lying the entire time. They've all been lying the entire time. And then they go on TV and they tell you this is the most transparent administration in American history.
Lie. All lies. My goodness.
The American.
Can we see past that? I pray. I hope. This man, Andrew, he writes this very simply and very powerfully. Most people have no idea what's really happening, and it shows in how they react to the events of last week. If you still think it's about left versus right, you are lost. Let's help get those people out of the wilderness. The division is manufactured, the outrage is engineered, and the back and forth is designed to keep you distracted while the real agenda moves forward. Until you step outside of that false dichotomy, you'll keep playing their game instead of seeing the bigger picture. I wish I could like this even more than I have. I'll have to drop a comment in there. I'm so appreciative. Now we're going to shift into kind of the exposure of a method the oppressors are using, and it's the deceiver has used no other tactics in today's day and age. I believe more like, I don't know, in such depths. We must shine the light on it time and time again till more pastors start doing it, more churches. But why aren't they? It's interesting. I like the challenge here. Read your Bible. Hopefully not the Schofield Bible, created by the same ones who started a sovereign country in 1948 to hide their war crimes and call it Israel. No, this is not the Israel of the Bible. Evil's deception runs deep. Check out this clip.
Where does my support for Israel come from? Number one, because biblically we are commanded to support Israel. Those who bless Israel will be blessed, and those who curse Israel will be cursed.
Wait, what?
And from my perspective, I want to be on the blessing side of things.
Where is that?
I can find it to you. I don't have the scripture off the
Genesis 12:3. That's what he
so
quoted.
good.
Genesis 12:3. What did Cruz say?
Those who bless Israel will be blessed.
Now let's just read the verse together, shall we? I will bless those who bless you, and whoever curses you, I will curse. Cruzy, where's Israel in this verse? We're just going to go back 2 verses. Let's see what the Bible's even talking about, okay? The Lord has said to Abraham. The Lord has said to who? Not Israel. Abraham. Go from your country, your people, and your father's household to the land I will show you. I will make you into a great nation, and I will bless you. I will make your name great, and you will be a blessing. I will bless those who bless you, and whoever curses you, I will curse. And all peoples on earth will be blessed through you. The Bible is talking to Abraham. There is no mention of Israel in this verse.
Correct.
Your entire belief system, your support to Israel comes from this verse. Now, I've read online the blessing is not only towards Abraham, is for the descendants of Abraham. So the descendants of Abraham is Isaac, and then from Isaac you got the Jews. Now the thing is, from the descendants of Abraham, you got Ishmael as well. And from Ishmael, you got the Arabs.
Correct.
Who are the Arabs? The Palestinians. So according to your theology, my boy, they're both blessed. This is your book.
So
and I'm trying to read through it to understand your belief system and the way you think. And even it just doesn't... Bro, now if you support the state of Israel because of the Bible, maybe read the Bible. And if you're Christian, maybe listen to the Christians in Palestine. Just hear them out.
So at the beginning of the war, there was around 1,000 Christians in Gaza. Right now, the number has declined to almost half. And we always highlight those who were killed directly by the bombing of the church, or I think at least 3 women were killed by snipers, 2 within the church. I mean, I talked to the nun who told me she pulled them inside the church after they were shot, and then when the daughter, even when others tried to rescue them, they were shot at.
Where does my support for Israel come?
Yeah, the live stream that's taking place over there, it's clear. Now, is there darkness on both sides of everything? Sure. Yeah. But we can't excuse and support what we have been. It's this in and of itself exposes not just this administration, but former, that they aren't answering to we the people at all. This young man incredibly walks through this incredibly. Check this out. Let's just continue because I am tripping up in all my glory today. I apologize.
Does not tell us to support Israel. If you've been online recently, you've probably heard people like Charlie Kirk, J.D. Vance, and Tim Walz saying that the Bible tells Christians to support Israel. When they say this, they most likely quote the verse that says, I will bless those who bless Israel. But that's a verse from Genesis 12 and isn't in reference to the modern day nation of Israel. It is very basic Christian theology that the covenant made with Abraham was fulfilled through Christ's sacrifice. And now all of us, the believers in Christ, are the new Israel. That's why we have verses like Galatians 3:28, which says, "There is neither Jew nor Greek, for all are one in Christ Jesus." It's completely ridiculous to try and argue that the state of Israel, which was founded in 1948 and is mainly comprised of Ashkenazi Jews, is the same Israel which God made a covenant with in the Old Testament. I can't believe that I even have to say this, but as Christians, we should not be supporting a nation which is mutilating and slaughtering thousands of innocent women and children, regardless of their ethnic makeup. One of the reasons that so many Christian politicians might be trying to convince you that the Bible supports the state of Israel is because those same politicians are receiving hundreds of thousands of dollars from AIPAC, previously known as the American Zionist Committee. And don't get me wrong, I am not taking a political stance right now.
I love that disclaimer. We often must dive into my intent behind any of this. Is my intent to demonize this more so relatively recently established country? There are amazing, all right, no, how could my intent be that if I'm going to make the following statement of amazing rabbis that exist there that are actually exposing the Zionist cabal, banking cabal control, speaking out on the genocide, all these evil acts themselves. There's amazing individuals running under all these different labels. Let's just not be confused by the labels. Just seek out the fruits, as Jesus taught us, of an individual, so we won't fall under the deception.
Now, I'm taking a theological one. There's just objectively no reason to believe that the Bible in any way supports the modern day state of Israel.
Correct.
As Christians, we should not be cheering on the side that is actively committing genocide in the Middle East, but that also doesn't mean we should be cheering on the opposing side. Instead, we should be praying for peace between all nations. I guess the overarching theme of this video is don't listen to what politicians want you to think about the Bible, because they have an objective agenda that they are trying to achieve. Instead, just read it for yourself. No, the Bible does not.
So good. All right, I'm telling you, those are some gold nuggets. You can just copy and paste those right down here, or even simply just share this episode. It's got the whole combination that I'm referencing right here, right now on this live stream. How many of the posts I've even done here, I don't even know. It's not. This is just helping me gather my thoughts. This is not a self-pedestaling. I wish I could just grab the information and reference it out of the ether. I'm just struggling, and more so today than the few days prior. And I'm trying to hone in as to why that is. But a side note, do you know how much this current administration has sent and send over to Israel? And let's keep it simple, math. Only this term. So far, it's a big freaking number. Part of me doesn't even want to show any numbers because I genuinely want folks to research this for themselves and absorb these astronomically large numbers. And then just think for a second what that could have been used for here in our country, for this administration to fulfill its own promises, helping its own country and people. Once again, if we're focused on, we would fail in our own relations, personal relations, in our own lives, with the tactics being used as our country as a whole. We must focus inwardly and hemorrhage the bleeding before bleeding out in order to more effectively even show up abroad. It's simple. But, oh wait, it's right. They wouldn't do that. Why? And there's many different angles we could go from, but just wrote out this one. I don't know, came to me. And if you have questions about the Epstein, no longer wants our support. Or question Israel, the place that's used as a patsy for the slave masters, they want us gone. One way or another. They do not care about us. The money, the siphoning of the money, and dare I say, what we could even pull up is barely scratching the surface as to the real funds being funneled. But folks love to shoot the messenger. Yeah, it's interesting. It's fine. Take all the shots you want. Like it's worth it to open eyes to our own benefit. I wish it was different. I wish we could trust, and it is important and crucial that we gain a level of trust back within our own country and all its infrastructures, especially medicine. My goodness. This should be all the evidence one would need, but clearly dealing with such a deep level of evil. It penetrates levels, words, situations, unacceptable after unacceptable outcome just doesn't seem to get through. Time to focus on ones that have ears to hear. This is just encouraging those like Jesus, even not saying I'm an apostle in any way, shape, or form. Okay, let's be clear about this. But Jesus even told the disciples when they go out, sending them out, that when they frustrate someone and they're kicking dirt on their feet and what have you, that they dust it off and move on. That is a lesson for us in a sense. Let's not deflate ourselves. And entirely, let's do our best to plant the seeds and Jesus's message and what he stood for. But when there's clearly that frustration, it's wise to just continue to focus on those that have ears to hear. Help in any way to create the only solution there is. We desperately need more organization. I didn't want to show numbers, but this current administration has approved nearly $12 billion. $12 billion within the first 6 weeks of their term. These actions have involved bypassing Congress to expedite arms transfers, including over 35,000 2,000-pound bombs and other munitions. Yeah, it's disgusting. Thank you, Mike Adams, Health Ranger, which, by the way, I tried and I effectively created an Unmuzzled chat channel podcast through Brighteon, a free speech platform he stood up. The uploading was extremely painful, and I fear not efficient enough for me to do, but maybe futuristically I'll be able to live stream there as well. More to look into. But I like how he words this. I don't know why some conservatives are so surprised that other conservatives like me are anti-war and pro-humanity. That means we oppose genocide. We oppose the military-industrial complex. We oppose assassinations and bombings of heads of state. The position is entirely consistent with the pro-life stance. That says we all shouldn't kill unborn babies. I'm not the one holding contradictory views on life. My views are 100% consistent. If you claim to be pro-life, but you also support Israel's ethnic cleansing campaign, you see how we have to, so many individuals even change proper spelling because you will be shadow banned, highlights the level of oppression in this bigger enemy that is 100% directly attacking us, and we have less in common with than our neighbors that voted differently than ourselves. We're to unite as a collective people and focus on the more direct opposing threats. Anything shy of that, we're getting wrapped up. You know what? I even showed today's image, and I didn't even touch on the actual verbiage, but it comes from Romans 12:2. Don't copy the behavior and customs of this world. We should all ask ourselves, what all is he encompassing in the living word for us to improve the paths we're on, the words we use, the think we use? Let's not fall prey to the customs and behavior of this world, but let God transform you into a new person by changing the way you think. Then you will learn to know God's will for you, which is good and pleasing and perfect. His will, not mine. I pray that in this very episode, and I genuinely mean that, and if he puts impressions in any way, shape, or form on me getting any of this wrong, I'd be the first one to eat humble pie, apologize, beg for forgiveness, and seek that pure path. I'm sure there are better ways. There's always better ways. We need Jesus more than ever to navigate these times. There's ways he would unify. There's ways that he existing today would lead to another crucifixion. Undoubtedly. So everyone through their own gifts has, so if anything, if we can embolden people to utilize their God-given gifts to shine the light on the spiritual warfare in the ways through the gifts they were given, is crucial. Brandon, another great post. Let me break it down for y'all. The super evil dudes that run the world's Federal Reserve banks decided to start a sovereign country to hide their crimes. They named it Israel in 1948. They have convinced the West that they are tied to the ancient Israelites. They are Jews who say they are Jews who say they are Jews but are not. Worded differently. That's why I tripped up there. But essentially that's a message Jesus himself covered in Revelation 2 verse 9 and 3 verse 9. Repeated himself. It's a great time to read the Bible. I agree, Brandon, 100%. Keep up the good work, brother. Okay, shifting a little bit here. And this is a bit off topic as to the title of this episode, but we must understand the depths evil has gone to not fall prey to these distractions while more oppressive measures get rolled out. And this is bold. A lot of people may not even agree with this post, but I stated, if you prey on children, you are a pedophile. It's pretty clear, isn't it? But I continue and state, if you associate ones who do, and you know about it, you are also a pedophile. If you support ones who do it in any way, especially a cover-up, you are a pedophile. It is irrelevant whether you acted out yourself preying on a minor. You are a damn pedophile. Do you know who I'm kind of directing this towards? Bear with me. We got the proof. This isn't just my views or my words. We got the proof to substantiate a lot of this claims. But oh my gosh, this administration is the very swamp 100% that it claims to drain. I swear you can lead a horse to water, because so many of these conversations, and I've exhausted myself, and that's what the importance of leading horses to water. And don't sit there and just exhaust yourself trying to get it to drink. But I myself was duped. I fell for the BS But I must admit, it feels so good to be honest with oneself, no matter what that means. Trump is not our savior. And I know a lot of individuals that continuously even support Trump today would take offense and be like, well, I don't worship him as my savior. And Jesus Christ is my savior. But what speaks larger than your words? Once again, back to that prior post. Are we supporting someone who knew? Are you willing to sweep the years of information we absorbed regarding Epstein tied to Mossad, former presidents, very powerful people in the world? We know what that blackmail ring was used for. This was no Democratic hoax. But people are so... Once again, if you can't even ask these questions and do the research yourself, well, then there's a level of false idolatry. You can't even... You could project that Jesus Christ is your Savior, but your actions in this very situation are more so supporting a man that is here today. Anyway, I digress. Let's continue with this post. Diddy was an example. Epstein another. Maxwell another. This administration, this very administration, as the dang swamp they project to drain. Just expressing more of the frustration. It's clearly worthless to connect the dots for folks when they don't want to see. It's just like, kind of jump into analogy here. It's just like during the planned scamdemic. Do you remember trying to talk to folks wearing masks as to how bad it was for them? Trying to show the true science that even after 15 minutes, their child wears a mask and you put it under a microscope and you see the germs and bacteria and harmful things, yet that's good for them. The science on the psychological impact alone as social creatures, covering up our facial expressions and the connection. Anyway, this was evil. It was pure evil. But do you recall a lot of these tyrannical businesses, oppressive businesses that took these measures? I mean, it got so bad that it wasn't even necessarily the employees you would get strife from in these situations. It was the very customers, your neighbors that were there. And anyway, it's just a lot of those examples, and you could revert back to a lot of the situations we were in regarding the bioweaponist shots. Just getting the fluoride stare, the way we would even be attacked about it. How is it we don't see? Anyway, for the love of God, these people are covering up for the biggest, ugliest pedophiles in the world today. I might be speaking too triggeringly here, so we could try to rephrase it. But too many are turning a blind eye to this. Too many are continually supporting as though this administration is more on our behalf than the last. It's a game the elites are utilizing. It's a construct of left versus right. It's the illusion of choice. It's the division that's keeping us from focusing on the true infrastructure, the true oppressors we are facing. I get it. It's not easy. I hope in my heart they truly do shift to good. But even more importantly, I pray the masses stop falling for the deceptions. The proof is out there in what is stated here. Seek it for yourself. We're just going to continue. I'm getting flustered. But some of the things we could be asking ourselves, a lot, I've been told, you don't have the evidence to really substantiate any of your claims. It's like, well, to talk on evidence, just please explain to me why the pedo cover-up? Why? Explain warp speed and murdering millions. Explain the lie day one for releasing the information. Explain the Ukraine war would be ended within 24 hours. Look at where we are. Golly, we're sending over figures we can't even imagine anymore. Once again, not even fulfilling the very essence they ran on, MAGA. Why is it America last with this administration? Explain the dinners, multiple dinners with the Bill Gates, the big tech that they also spoke of being part of the swamp they were going to drain. The mRNA for cancers and sending billions to speed up this life-saving care. Explain the executive orders that have been signed infringing on our First Amendment. Explain the administration made it, how this administration made it illegal to burn a foreign flag before its own. I believe Trump and this administration, what they had to respond to the backlash of the foreign flag being made illegal with, oh, this is how we'll do it. We won't even touch on that, and we're just gonna bring out ours and talk about prison. Unbelievable. But it was what came first. Explain how we're now MAGA first, America last. Explain the support for Israel when they are clearly committing war crimes, slaughtering countless innocent lives. Literally cannot be accounted for anymore because it's that dang bad. Explain why Trump and his daughter have created multiple cryptos just to pull the rug, stealing from their own supporters and enriching their true friends. Explain the U.S. bombing of Iran, which was a war crime in and of itself. So totally bypassing the laws of the land for them to even do so. Putting all of our lives at risk in doing so. Explain the threats from Trump himself of imprisonment, loss of citizenship, deportation, even death to those that boycott Israel. Yes, those threats are very real. Explain how they are allowing us to continually be poisoned through the air, water, food, health services, etc. Explain how they still allow U.S. drug companies to still advertise its poisons, making us only 2 out of the 109 countries that exist in the world. Any one of these. And it's easy to get triggered on a singular one and lose focus. But any one of these on a deep dive exposes the spiritual warfare we're at. I wish it wasn't the case. I fell for it. I voted for Trump 3 times. It's the whole construct. It's bigger than any administration. We must understand. This is not just some anti-Trump episode here. The episode's bigger. It's trying to focus on the oppressive measures so we can maintain our health and freedoms to even have a shot at a future and a life as God intended with our agency. That's the point. Explain how they allowed vaccine companies immunity to this day with their poisonous shots. No other industry has achieved that. Why are you not stripping them of that immunity? The money that important to you? The blackmail they have on you that important to you? What is it? Explain RFK pushing MMR shot after gaining his seat. He knows better. And I have proof. We all have proof. We've seen the clips. That's why he gained the position he did. He had conversations prior to gaining the seat connecting those shots to autism and so many other issues. Why the flip-flopping? Explain why there are no mass deportations. Just for starters, there is only one true answer to all of this. We have been told a lie. Do we see it? By the way, it's interesting to reflect back there was so much disgust as to Donald Trump before the formulation of words. Basically, the way he stated everything at the core of what we've been thinking and how we were able to shift and turn a blind eye is to the disgust we all had regarding this billionaire womanizer. Let's just pump the brakes a second, because I myself thought once and thought this once, and I even spoke out within people in my own life as to, man, he needs to up the protection. We need more godly warriors around him. It feels like he's being divinely led. I really said words essentially formulating that very message. I was willing to give my life. I was that convicted. And boy, was I wrong. But to this day, for people to still kind of have that level of idolatry of this man, it's inexcusable. So for folks that are still alluding to this man being led by God, just here we go. Humor me for a second. Just listen to this one segment. And folks, it goes so much deeper than this. And you can do the research yourself. But every day that goes by, it is getting harder and harder to uncover this information.
She does have a very nice figure.
That's his daughter, by the way.
Said that if Ivanka weren't my daughter, perhaps I'd be dating her. You know?
Okay, Ivanka, what's the favorite thing you have in common with your father?
Either real estate or golf.
Donald, with your daughter?
Well, I was going to say sex, but I can't relate that.
If I weren't
That is
happily married,
disgusting.
and you know her father.
My daughter,
She is.
Ivanka.
Yeah.
She's 6 feet tall. She's got the best body.
By the way, your daughter.
She's beautiful.
Can I say this? A piece of ass. Yeah. She looks more voluptuous than ever.
She's actually always been very voluptuous.
It's
She's
unbelievable.
tall. She's almost 6 feet. You going up the escalator? I'm going to be dating her in 10 years. Can you believe it? She does have a very nice figure.
That is some of the most vile, disgusting comments in my eyes a father could ever. I don't care the level of humor, whatever you're trying to tap into there. That is evil. Images. This man seems to be in disgust as to this situation. This clearly underage girl sitting on none other than Donald Trump's lap. But there are countless situations to be uncovered. I just want us to check ourselves and question, are we idolizing individuals in our existence here to not just our demise futuristically, but potentially individually, spiritually? It was this Margie Taylor Greene. This is one of the Epstein note releases. This, I believe, is why this particular man is willing to die on the hill and be painted a liar, a bull-faced liar for the rest of his existence. It's because there's enough information that implicates him in the blackmail Epstein pedophile ring, full stop. She's just hanging this up. If you haven't seen this, looked at the signature for yourself, you don't need to be an expert. It's interesting. His most recent, in all his executive orders, the signature had like this long, drawn out. But he's recently even started changing it a bit. Why? What is going on? Okay, one of the things, we'll step away from Trump. Let's see people's fruits more clearly. Let's not be deceived. That's the point. But during all the smoke and mirrors of this life, folks, I also believe, and this is getting back to more so the point in the title of the episode of all the noise, I believe that the timing of Charlie Kirk's assassination is no coincidence. The fact it was executed the day before 9/11 tells us so much. Because more than ever before, some of the largest private media sources were going to question the narrative and more so share the truth that make more sense when you're willing to actually go through the information versus just believe the story we were given. The lie this country, for some reason, is still hanging on to. Some of the most well-decorated military men I've had the blessing to speak to on these topics speak so convictedly that it's just, they believe the vast majority of Americans don't believe in the story of 9/11 that we were told. But it's interesting as I try to get the finger on the pulse as to where we really are with that. Irrelevant because we're accepting an unacceptable situation, but it seems to still be, I don't know where it is, but not enough of us see the truth. That's for damn sure. So, for an example, many are unaware of Netanyahu's book and the many speeches prior to 9/11 that directly implicate Mossad and Israel for the 9/11 attacks. There is a mountain of evidence, but just to start, in Netanyahu's book, where he stated, quote, "If we do not take the Muslim threat serious enough, the Twin Towers will fall." And this was prior to 9/11. What does this really tell us? But it's interesting because this happened before the word was really going to be able to get out on these mainstream platforms, challenging that narrative like never before. And when we look at the subversion of this country, AIPAC, its ties, its connection, not registered, foreign lobby group, it's 100% lobbying. But this, the cabal's method of using Israel, biblical Israel, is a patsy, and it's not biblical Israel. They could not afford more Americans to ask the questions, to wake up any more than they already are, for their corrupt system to stay standing. I believe AIPAC, American people mostly want registered as a foreign agency. They could not afford to lose the support of America as they continue their greater Israel land grab, etc., genocide, etc. So, really looking over it, it's now some of us really paid respects, but if we're paying respects to the lie behind 9/11, how is that respectful at all? But as a whole, as a world, as a country, look how tactfully just the timing of Charlie Kirk's assassination, how essentially we skipped right over 9/11 without any real depth to it at all. Love this lady's passion. It's a little screechy for me, but you know, we're gonna play it.
A lobbying group representing the best interests. It's our money. It's our money. If Israel wants to carry out war crimes, they shouldn't do it with our money.
Agreed.
You can't, on one hand, demand that American taxpayers who are desperate for a better life here in America, they need to hand over billions of dollars to the Israeli government and the IDF, and we need to shut the F up about any of our critique. AIPAC is evil. AIPAC is evil.
Agreed.
Evil. My fellow Americans, are you okay with that? Are you okay with a lobbying group representing the best interests of a foreign government telling you You need to bust your ass every day, work a job that you likely hate, and have a portion of your earnings taken from you by our federal government and funneled to the Israeli government so they can commit atrocities in the Gaza Strip. Are you okay with that? Because I'm not okay with that. And nothing gets under my skin more, okay, than hearing these pieces of crap. They feel entitled to our money. Entitled.
Well, more than all of that, folks, it's disgusting to just see the sheer level of suffering that we are supporting. Now, whether individually or not, our country as a whole, and yes, your very tax dollars are. Even at the point you understood your income tax being entirely voluntarily, yes, it's unconstitutional. It is voluntarily. 99% of Americans do not need to pay income tax. However, they continually do. But even at the point you understood that and you're not, you in this country, unless you've entirely homesteaded, secured all the channels of bartership, I mean, the likelihood of anyone in today's day and age is you are putting into the tax system whether you like it or not. So in a way, we are. I believe this is tying in a lot of our spiritual closeness to our loving Creator, because it's connecting directly to horrific crimes, horrific oppression. It just breaks my heart to see what's taking place all over the world. This gentleman does a pretty good job also, since Charlie Kirk's assassination, covering what oppressive measures were pushed, kind of just bringing that title into light, behind, like how they're using the momentum of the distraction to further oppressive measures for us all.
First and most egregious, the following have happened since the assassination of Charlie Kirk. Another faggot on the roof. First and most egregiously, the House blocked an attempt.
It wasn't. He was making a mockery. Like, who in their right mind believes that? Full stop. Everything, they're FB lie at this point. That's all they are. I do not believe a dang thing they're pushing.
To release the Epstein files. It was straight up 51 to 49 in the Senate. Great. All the Republicans are defending pedophiles. Secondly, the Pentagon is now forbidden from boycotting Israel. Next on the list is even worse. They're going to give little Marco Rubio, who just took a trip to Israel, the power to strip your passport from you if you criticize Israel. So if you criticize a foreign state, one that's actively involved in a genocide and attacked 9 nations in the last week, well, you can no longer travel. So I guess I won't be visiting the U.S. anymore. Sorry, family. Rubio's going to take my passport away because fuck Israel. And in addition to that, the House approved $650 million extra for the apartheid regime, $650 million for the Antichrist and his demonic regime of death that murders children, bombs hospitals, rapes prisoners, you know, that kind of thing. That's on top of the $4 billion they give them every year anyway. If you oppose genocide, which ought to be common sense, well, you get canceled and banned. But if you want to cheerlead murdering children and dropping bombs on apartments, that's okay. Then
Hospitals,
your voice will be amplified.
schools, supply
that's
drops.
the world we live in. It's run by demonic pedophiles, and
Yes.
it's not getting any better. Learn about what happened for real.
Well done. Yeah. Stu Peters. Holy shit. Pardon the French. Not your French. Come on. Yeah, this is incredibly shocking. What does Shalom Pearl mean? But Trump posted a picture of him and Charlie hugging in front of an American and Israeli flag the day after Charlie Kirk's assassination, titled, you can see it, Shalom Pearl. So he asks, what is this, Grok, or uncensored AI? What does Shalom Pearl mean? Shalom Pearl refers to someone who is gullible or a patsy, someone easily tricked or manipulated into doing something they shouldn't. Excuse me. The term originates from a Jewish man named Sharon Pearl who pretended to be a Nazi during World War II. In the modern usage, it describes someone who falls for tricks or acts as an unwitting compliance. I mean, you get the point. Often in a way that benefits others at their expense. What else to be said? It's blatantly being thrown out there right in front of our face. Right here, Ian Carroll, amazing job, the biggest foreign influence operation in American history. And now you can see why the Epstein files have become so pivotal. It's all connected.
Phone, going back to what I was telling you before the break, John Ratcliffe, when he was isolated with Donald Trump, to basically feed Donald Trump Mossad talking points, including about phony, fabricated WMD propaganda about the Houthis about to get a nuclear weapon from Iran if he didn't strike. He was isolated by Susie Wiles, the chief of staff. And who is Susie Wiles? Subsequent to my report at the Gray Zone citing a inside White House source, a Trump official, we learned that Susie Wiles had actually went to Israel to work for Benjamin Netanyahu on his 2020 re-election campaign. How crazy is that? America first, and your chief of staff literally worked for a foreign leader? What's going on here?
Right.
I mean, that's what we're unmasking, is the biggest foreign influence infiltration operation in American history that is basically taking control of an administration that says it's America first and is taking us to a very dangerous place. And everybody's concerned about it, including on the left, on the right, and we're also concerned about where we're being taken in this country. All
right, folks, we are nearing the end clip, and it is such a powerful gold nugget. Do not miss it. But this guy's explanation is to Israel, how they creating Hamas, helps us in a small sense. I mean, we're creating all these boogeymen, and this worldly is utilizing these labels to our detriment. They're pitting themselves on both sides of war. They're profiting. They're gaining more power. The war industrial, military industrial complex, everything at the Big Ten. It's just, it is chump change to these individuals to enslaving any nation's government. That's pocket change. That's child's play at this point. I mean, obviously, the point evil becomes so effective, men believe they could be women. Like, wow. Yeah, it's way bigger. It's deeper. It's spiritual. It's evil. It's so many things. I just hope we could see past the deception.
If you look at the history, you'll find out that Hamas was encouraged and really started by Israel because they wanted Hamas to counteract Yasser Arafat. And you say, well, yeah, that was better then and served its purpose, but we didn't want Hamas to do this. So then we as Americans say, well, we have such a good system, we're going to impose this on the world. We're going to invade Iraq and teach people how to be Democrats. We want free elections. So we encourage the Palestinians to have a free election. They do, and they elect Hamas. So we first indirectly and directly through Israel help establish Hamas. Then we have an election. Then Hamas becomes dominant, so we have to kill them. You know, it just doesn't make sense. During the 80s, you know, we were allied with Osama bin Laden. And we were contending with the Soviets. It was at that time our CAA thought it was good if we radicalized the Muslim world. So we financed the madrasa schools to radicalize the Muslims in order to compete with the Soviets. There's too much blowback. There's a lot of reasons why we should oppose this resolution. It is not in the interest of the United States. It's not in the interest of Israel either. If you look,
highlights a lot right there. Oh God, this guy, he's just ripping the lid off of so much. I'm so grateful for these men and women that have the courage that no matter what come, they're just gonna stand on these principles of truth and laying a foundation for us all to stand on. That is how should we say it? It's forever. Truths, real truths that never change. That's anything else is not a long-term foundation, is it?
The Israeli military is now honoring the life of Charlie Kirk by writing his name on missiles that are being used to bomb innocent civilians in Gaza. Now, there are several layers of insanity to this story, and I'll start off with this. The Israeli military does not like me. The state of Israel doesn't like me. Netanyahu doesn't like me. This is something they actually did with my name as well. They wrote my name on missiles that they then used to target innocent children in Gaza. So I'm left wondering if this is a practice that they reserve for their fiercest critics and people who oppose them vociferously. Why are they writing Charlie Kirk's name on the missiles that they're using to lob into Gaza and target innocent civilians with? In addition to that, as you all know, Charlie Kirk was in the middle of a private war with the state of Israel. Even Netanyahu himself, he claimed Netanyahu was trying to silence him, trying to buy him off with this huge funding infusion from Zionist organizations into TPUSA. Charlie was very critical of the role that Israel played in dragging the United States into their conflict with Iran. So what's going on here? Why is the Israeli military writing Charlie Kirk's name on missiles? This seems a little bit demonic to me, twisted, and almost seems like a self-report. The Israeli...
It is demonic, folks. Holy smokes. We still have one more clip. Charlie Kirk denied Netanyahu. What is this prime minister doing? Let's ask ourselves. Amongst the war state they find themselves in, with 9+ other countries, spending the time to meet with America's influencers, whether it be Tim Pool, Dan Bongino, Charlie Kirk. Why is he trying to infuse $150 million into TPUSA right at the moment? Charlie Kirk's just asking about the truth behind October 7th, that Israel would have had at least had stand down orders. Why? Just asking all the sheer influence through AIPAC and all these other means in our country. Charlie Kirk denied that. Charlie Kirk was a devout Christian. Okay, so the Epstein tactics, frankly, weren't going to work. So if he isn't bribable, if he isn't corruptible, and he's going to continue imposing not just these questions out to the masses, but into the minds of our youth. This is, I believe, the largest fingerprint regarding his assassination. I do not for a second fall prey to the deceptions of the FB lie. Who else? Israel, the first one, the prime minister, prior to even Trump commenting about his death. Jerusalem Post, the first one, news outlet to report on his death. You just connect the dots. It stinks to high heaven. It doesn't add up in regards to the propagandist lie they want us to believe. Let's not fall prey to the infringement of our speech. The very hill Charlie was willing and died upon. Under the very tent he was assassinated, it said repeatedly along the banner, "Prove me wrong." Inviting opposition, inviting different views, inviting, doesn't matter how ugly, how hateful. Hate speech is a direct threat to the very foundation Charlie was laying. Let's not allow that to continue. That being said, let's wrap this up with the last clip. It's a powerful one. Please absorb what this captures.
I have less
ability sometimes online to criticize the Israeli government without backlash than actual Israelis do. And that's really, really weird.
An easy way to know if you are controlled. Is there somebody or something that you're not allowed to criticize?
That's right.
Simple as that. If you lived in Nazi Germany, you couldn't criticize the Nazi Party. If you lived in the Soviet Union, you couldn't criticize the Communist Party of Russia. If you live in China right now, you can't criticize the Chinese Communist Party. If you live in North Korea, you can't criticize Kim Jong-un. If you live in Cuba, you can't criticize the Cuban Communist Party. If you live in America, who can't you criticize? Who can't you criticize in America?
The Jewish lobby.
Yes.
On both sides.
Right. That's right.
Both
sides. That tells you who controls the country. You're not. The fact that we're having this discussion and we're on the edge, all right? Everybody knows here, this is the edge.
Oh, yeah.
Why are we on the edge? Because we're touching the third rail. We're breaking the taboo. You're not allowed to discuss the power of the Israeli lobby in America.
Dave Smith isn't allowed to criticize Israel. You had both sides. The Israeli side was overrepresented.
No, you're not allowed to. You're not allowed to, though. No, you're not allowed to.
That's proof right there. They control America. That's who's controlling free speech in this country.
That is it right there. With this one. I'm so grateful. Oh, God. What's going on? Bear with me. Why? Interesting. I'll take the blame. I'm terrible at this one-man band. But that highlights something so powerful even right there. It doesn't matter. We're never going to get everything perfect. If we're waiting for perfection, we'll be waiting throughout our whole existence here. It's just not possible. It's not going to happen. So fear not. And just do what you can. Magnify the gifts God bestowed in you to fight this spiritual warfare that's playing out. Let's reflect back on Romans 12, verse 2. Don't copy the behavior and customs of this world. Let's ask ourselves, what does that mean? God, give me the clarity in this moment of time to understand this at the core. But let God transform you into a new person by changing the way you think. Then you will learn to know God's will for you, which is good, pleasing, and perfect. It talks about the kingdom of God, Israel being just that. It would be human, it would be defective for me to go draw lines in the dirt or on this table, call that Israel. Let's not fall prey to that. It doesn't speak on God blessing those that bless Israel. It was Abraham and his descendants, which is all sides. So it's Old Testament. And it's entirely, that ideology is entirely negating the new covenant that Jesus Christ himself fulfilled, where that type of labeling is irrelevant. It's actually destructive. That's all it is. And that's directly the synagogue of Satan. That's the devil's work to divide God's children and have them fight amongst one another. Jesus Christ himself. I know I'm referencing this a lot, but it's interesting. When I've referenced it in a lot of these group chats, it like goes in one ear and out the other, and the conversation just continues. It was like people like to project and claim Jesus, and that's beautiful. But are we fulfilling it, or is it more so a hollow, empty projection? We should all be asking ourselves that. It's Jesus' words in Revelation 2 verse 9 and 3 verse 9, repeating himself. Let's absorb it. I know of your oppressors. They say they are Jews, but they are not. They are of the synagogue of Satan. Now, don't get me wrong. Is it everyone? No, Jesus is directly talking about the oppressors using that label. So they're anti-Semitic is a joke, and we're falling for it because these oppressors are not Semitic individuals. Full stop. So anything anti-agency, the very root of that is evil. It's deception. It's the devil. And I pray that we see that clearer than ever before. I'm doing my best to magnify the voices of others, of free thinkers. Above all, I'm trying to expose the spiritual war being played before us that simply drives us to the only solution there is, drawing us closer to our loving Creator and uniting under that banner as a collective people. It's a simple equation. This administration is going to answer to whoever is putting the greatest pressure on them. And it is clear that it is not us as a people because we're effectively being divided amongst one another. It's clear. So they're falling prey to the rulers just as all these former administrations prior. And I can't imagine being in their shoes as the overwhelming pressures. But it's like O'Keefe stated, if it isn't your life that you're willing to sacrifice being a truth teller, then you yourself are in fact for sale. Are we for sale? I sure hope not. I hope this helped bring to light more of the distraction tactics, how we're falling prey pretty much every time to our own demise, and that we can see past all of this. I love you all. Thank you so much for your support. I don't know if this is something I'm really tapping into my God-given gifts or not, but I must testify to the blessing I feel in this moment of expression, tapping into the agency God's given us all. I hope you feel that for yourself, and you start steering into that level of uncomfortability. Jesus and the Bible teaches us time and time again that his true followers are going to be oppressed, imprisoned, murdered. We're not going to live out more so. I mean, a lot of us will have a lot of financial and whatever blessing, as many examples show as well. But a lot of that, more often than not, gets taken away. Is that what it is? We're not willing to endure a tougher road and path on this life that's allowing us to excuse the real meaning and purpose to be achieved in this existence. That's enough from me. Help us. If you feel I could do better with financial blessing, editors, a team, frankly, I don't know how long I can do this. We'll see. I can't imagine really doing anything else. If there's a better way I could apply myself in this life that taps more purely into my gifts, that is a path I'm going to run on 100%. But I find myself exhausting myself, speaking into ears that don't want to hear, or on a smaller scale. And it's important that we focus anywhere we can. But this method right here digitally is a tactic that has been weaponized, and it's been so effective in today's day and age that we must gain more momentum on this stage irregardless, whether it's through UNMUZZLED or emboldening others. I don't know, it just came upon me, but if you have anyone if you have any church like these two gentlemen covered here that is teaching you the false teachings as this arbitrary Israel established in 1948 is the biblical Israel, run. Question that pastor. Where does it state that God is going to bless those that bless Israel and curse those that don't. Where specifically? And if he pulls out the Scofield Bible, well, there you have it. Those are that rendition was created by the very individuals that created that state in 1948. Those are the same families that enslaved our nation in 1913 with a banking cabal, with interest indebting our whole nation. I could just continuously go on. I swear, to my own detriment, all of ours, I'm sure, with all my flaws, but trying so hard to the best of my ability in this particular moment to have us not fall for the deceptions. I love you. Look forward to next time. Until then, take care.